Guys, I'm back with another exclusive interview. Today, I was able to talk to Winter Williams from Love and Marriage DC. We talk all things love and marriage. We look back at the reunion, and also she shares how where she stands with most of her cast members today. So it was a really, really, really great conversation, and I'm so excited for you guys to listen. Make sure to follow at the Reality Rundown on Instagram and also the Reality Rundown underscore on Twitter, and make sure to subscribe, like all of our content here on YouTube and also our podcast if you miss any of our videos. Enjoy the interview. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Reality Right After. Today, I am here with Winter Williams from Love and Marriage DC. Hi, Winter.
Hi, Wellington. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, this
Excited.
is actually very exciting. And this is actually like an interview that I've been dying to have because loved Love and Marriage DC.
Oh,
I am a Love and Marriage fan in general.
okay.
Huntsville, as the main show, it's amazing. And when I heard that Carlos was going to finally make this into a franchise
Yes.
and there are other cities involved, I said, this is what this franchise needs for
Yeah.
real because it's such a great concept and I really loved it. So I've been dying to just talk to all of you guys because I really love the show and I think that you guys did an amazing job putting
Thank
together a first season. Talking about the first season, overall, your first time on reality TV,
you.
what are your thoughts?
It's different. it's different. As a person who really didn't have reality TV, aspirations,
Right.
it's different. It's a different world. So I really didn't have a whole lot of preconceived notions or expectations. I really just signed up to be me and share my
Hmm.
story and just really kind of see where everything fell. I just didn't have any preconceived notions at all. So it was an interesting ride, that's for sure.
Right. So you're a speaker, you're an author,
Yes.
entrepreneur, mentor, singer. Like that's my song. You better sign my papers and give me my divorce. Like,
You need to
First of all,
sign
So wait, well, all right. Let me ask. All right, I know
sound like an old
we're
hymn.
going back and forth with all of the details and things like that. But at the end of the day,
lying before you got here.
what's
Let-
gonna
let-
happen
let-
with the marriage?
let me say something. Winter,
You need to sign
first of all,
my papers and give
okay,
a
this,
divorce.
when I saw you made that into a song, that is what I love about reality TV star that understands the platform that they're on and
Yeah.
understands what they're doing. I feel like that was so smart of you. It was such a organic moment and you made it into a song. I love that. What made you say, you know what, I'm gonna write this song out and I'm gonna put it up on all the platforms?
So, I'm going to give you an exclusive,
Okay.
honestly. So, the song was off the top of my head. Like people often ask me like did I think it out? Did I pre-plan it? Like no. It's legit how I felt in the moment. And because
Right.
I grew up in the church, sometimes when the spirit hits you, all you
It's
can do is
easy.
sing, right? So it was just a natural thing. So it wasn't
Right.
pre-planned. I just went with it, okay?
Mhm.
So, when the show finally airs, Carlos actually messaged me and he said, "Winter, you need to turn this song into a real song. I'm not playing with you.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
serious. You need to make this a real single." And so, hearing that from him, I messaged my manager and I said, he's saying we need to turn this into a song. What can we do? Like, I hadn't thought about turning it into a song. She said,
Right.
give me 24 hours. And literally 24 hours, she pulled producers together. They got their people, musicians. Like within 48 hours, we were in the studio.
Wow.
And so that
Wow.
song, literally from the time you guys see it aired,
Mhm.
okay, 48 hours later, we're in the studio recording that song.
Wow.
So it was
Wow.
very, very swift, but I give so much credit to our team, so much credit to the producers, the co-writer on the song. Well, I have a co-writer, so it's myself and then Alfred Duncan, and
Mhm.
he's like the other co-writer. But we just had some incredible people that were willing to hop on it and say, "Hey, we're willing
Right.
to be a part of it. Let's go." And I'm actually very proud of the song.
No,
Like,
you should be. I listen.
sorry.
Reality TV stars, there's a lot of reality TV stars that like to venture into music
Yes.
when, they have the ability to sing and they're like, you know what, let me just put out a song. I have this platform.
Yes.
Not every reality TV star actually comes out with something that is actually good. And this song, I added to my R&B playlist like this. As soon as you dropped it, I was like, oh, this is actually this is the hit. This hits. Like this is good. So
Yes. That's
you def
awesome.
you
That's so
definitely have
awesome.
you definitely have a great track on your under your belt. So talk to me about life with all of those titles that I mentioned earlier. Talk to me about life prior to this show and what Winter was doing
Yeah.
before Love and Marriage.
So for me, I mean, to be perfectly honest, life was actually very busy before I started the show. So when people hear the titles, it's my life. I live it real time. So
Right,
quite frankly, before filming the show, I was pretty much traveling from October all the way through December. And I even traveled during the show because I was still traveling to speak,
hmm,
running my classes, running my community. So I was busy. Like
right,
I traveled, and I was trying to like put this in context for someone else about a week ago. But from the start of the pandemic, which would have been like March 2020, all the way through to now, we're in 2022. I never stopped traveling.
wow,
Like even when everything was shut down, I never stopped traveling. I have probably been on about 30 flights in the last year,
wow.
at least. Like, and I'm ballparking it. Like, it's my life. It's what I do. I live it. So I'm very busy. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for a little over 2 years now. And so I've progressively grown over these last couple of years because it's been my primary, it's been my primary focus. In addition to being a full-time mom, I have 4 kids. So life was busy. I mean,
Right.
my oldest son is just in college this year, so he's a freshman. But I also
Congratulations.
thank you. I have a sophomore in college. My oldest daughter is in college. So we got 2 in college and 1 in middle school, 1 in high school. So as a mom who prides herself on being a mom, it's
Hmm.
busy. Like having to juggle being a full-time entrepreneur and being a full-time mom, it's hard work. So I life was busy before I started this show. Now, how I made it through juggling all of that and filming the show,
Right.
I don't know. Like at that point, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I made it through because I was actually filming um 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes twice in a day. And
Right.
I like to give that context because unlike the rest of my cast, I didn't know I was going to be a part of the show. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I kind of was supposed to be a one hit wonder.
Yeah,
Or
let's get
like,
into that because
yeah,
I know that you mentioned before in previous interviews that you actually pulled out from being part of the show
yes,
because of problems in your marriage. So
correct.
can you go more in depth when it comes to that?
Absolutely. So people often ask, like, how did you get, introduced to it? So Monique reached out to my ex-husband and I to ask us if we would be interested in potentially being on the show. So we went through the first 2 casting rounds for the preliminary auditions to be on this show.
Right.
Right around the time where we thought they were going to launch filming, they kind of put a pause on it. I found out everything that was going on. Okay. I reached back out to Monique and I said, "Hey, Mo, kind of got some things going on. I'm going to pull us out of it. Thank you for the opportunity, but we're going to pass at this time." And so she was like, "Okay, like I'll reach back out to you." And really, it was another couple of months before I even talked to her again and let her really know, like, hey, it's some pretty serious stuff going on. But, I'll be rooting for you guys. I'll watch the show. Fast
Right.
forward December, we get the official announcement that they are coming forward with the show. I know that the Silvas and the Tylers and potentially the Lions are all in the cast with, Monique and Chris. And so I reached out to her and said, "Congratulations. Happy for you guys. I'll be watching."
Right.
Fast forward, January hits. Now I'm already separated from my ex-husband. We are not living together. We are
Right.
knee deep in this separation and, potential divorce.
Right.
And she calls me and says, "Hey, the person we had to do my podcast that's filming for the show can't make it. Are you able to fill in? Like, you're the only person I know that can just hop in and do it." And I'm like,
Right.
okay, sure. She was like, and I would love for them to see like who you were since you were potentially part of the preliminary auditions. And I'm like, sure, no
Right.
problem. I got you, girl. Like, I'll be there,
Right. 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 Of
I
course.
show up, get mic'd, go do my thing. I'm good. That's all. I'm done, right? No harm, no foul. I've done my job.
Right.
The one of the network, not network, but entertainment company VPs was on site that night, along with our executive producer Brent, and they pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, would you be interested in filming a
Hmm.
little bit more?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool, like no problem." Couple of days later, a few days later, actually, it's the Tyler's anniversary party. That's when I filmed for the second time. I did
Hmm.
not know Carlos was on site. And so Carlos actually shares when I interviewed on his podcast that they actually contacted him and was like, "Hey, you need to see
I,
her."
I I remember listening to that episode.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I film, meet him at that point, get the invitation to begin filming more. You never know how these things are going to go. But
Never.
because of how things are playing out, I'm beginning to film more and more and more. So this turned into what I thought was a one-time thing into, almost a full-time thing. Like I was filming a lot, and I'm not joking, sometimes 3 and 4 times a week, sometimes 2 scenes in a day. So it's just the way it panned out. I had no plans to do it. It's just the way it happened. And next thing it is what it is. The friend of the show is in the show. So
Right.
yeah,
And honestly, I would say that that's great for you because at the end of the day, when you're putting a show together and you're looking at your cast, if some people give, some people don't give. And at the end of the day, we're putting a reality TV show where people have to show their true lives and it has to be entertaining. It has to be, what everybody looks in reality TV. So I think that they saw in you the makes of a great reality TV star. And I think that it was clear that we can't let this person just come and go. Like we need to have more of them. So everything happens for a reason. And probably, that was how you were supposed to join this show, not necessarily coupled, but by yourself.
yeah,
Because even though you weren't part of the main cast,
yeah,
you were the main conversation in between the let's be honest, let's be completely honest, you
yeah.
were you were in the main conversation of the entire storyline, and you were also one of those people that were able to make the storyline progress. So when it comes to the show, you knew Monique for over 15 years.
Yes.
So how was it when filming with her and going through all of those? Now, I bet the relationship starts to change. So when
Yeah.
it comes to filming with a friend that you've known for 15 years, how was that?
I'm gonna be honest. I've learned that I can be very naive and green. And I really went in here thinking like, oh, like I have an ally. We're cool. She's gonna have my back.
Mhm.
I'm joking. Um, And I like to give context because it wasn't like we were the best of friends. I never said that. But, I like to explain we're in this nucleus. And in this nucleus, she is the closest person that I know and that I
Right,
have. I wouldn't have went into this nucleus and picked Ashley or Arena. It just wouldn't have made sense. I don't know them.
right,
So
right,
quite frankly, anytime there's something happening amongst the group, I'm quite naturally going to divert to her because she is the person that's my connect here. So I don't think I was wrong for assuming that she would have necessarily been an ally.
hmm,
The issue was assuming because
right,
it's reality TV. And I think one of the things I learned, because I'm a rookie, I mean, I don't claim to have all the answers, but one of the things I have learned is that these people are coworkers. Everyone has to be on an even playing field. No one has anyone else's back except the two that are in marriage together. Like that's really the only ally. And we see sometimes that's even sketchy. You know what I mean?
right,
So
right,
I think for me, I know that now. I know if things go forward and I move forward, you better have your own back or you bring your own people that have your back. But you cannot
right,
necessarily trust your coworkers because we're all there to work and we're all there
Right.
to clock in. And depending on what's going on, they may clock in and they may not clock in on your side. So
Right.
just that's something I have learned like through this process. So yeah, I knew her. We were very social and tried to like check in, but we weren't like going out to dinner or on the phone every weekend. So I think that's important to know. But by the same token, in this kind of nucleus, I was shocked. I ain't gonna lie. I would hear some interviews and even at the reunion, I was like, oh wow.
We're gonna get into the reunion because I have so many thoughts and of course questions, but we're gonna
Yes,
get into the reunion. Um, you know the saying, first impressions are most important. What
yes.
were your first impressions of the other couples in the show the first time you met them? And we can start with the Tylers.
So the Tylers, I actually knew of them prior to filming the show, and I really didn't have any perceptions, so to speak, because to be quite honest, we don't run in the same circles. You know what I mean? So I know of them. So I didn't have any really preconceived notions. And I had met the Tylers the year before at Monique's potty training boot camp book signing.
Hmm.
We came to her event. And so I met them there. So I thought, they were cool. Arena seemed cool. She invited us to something then. And much like she invited us to her anniversary party at Monique's, podcast live that we did. So cool. I really didn't have like any sort of anything. And
Right.
I'll be honest, I thought Ashley was a hoot when I met her for the first time, which is actually kind of odd that we ended up in the space that we did. Because when I initially met her, I was like, she seems like a good time. Like
Yeah.
we're definitely very different. I don't think anyone would think that we're the same. We're very different personalities, but everyone has a strong personality in this group. And I just thought, okay, she seems like a good time. We even had a mini conversation about her podcast that she does. And she was, quite intrigued that I was so open about the things that I've gone through in my life. So we started off decent. And so my initial impression of her was like, oh, she seems like a good time. Quick, I know him through the club scene, like he's, a DJ.
Right.
I really never talked to him one-on-one. So my impression is like, oh, okay, he's the DJ. So really no deep thoughts. I try to go in with an open mind whenever I meet people. I'm a people person. So I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt when I first meet them and not try to dig too deep. Things don't really go left until a vegan dinner.
I know. I know. Do you think that, but let's be honest, do you think that Monique was responsible for kind of taking some of the things that you were saying to your friend in confidence and then bringing, because I do feel like there was this weird notion at the reunion where it was like, well, you said these things and it was just
Right.
like, okay, you said them, but you did not say it in certain situations that they were in. So
Yeah.
you were saying it to your friend in confidence. So why isn't there some heat on Monique for also, in a way, spreading this information and, bringing this negative information to them?
Yeah, and I think too, I said it at the selfie museum. I'm like, you mixed up a mess in there because even, in those situations, context is important, how you tell a story, like,
Right.
okay, well, I heard it this way. Like, regardless, you knew I was coming. So why not wait until I get there and let me speak for myself? Because I don't know if you recall, but we get to the selfie museum and I walk into a firestorm at that point. Like it was already on 1,000. So
Right.
I'm like, I got Arena barking, Ashley barking, Monique is saying her. It's like too much. And I'm like, why didn't y'all just wait to have this discussion until I got here? So I can clarify what I said and own what I said. Cause it's like I was telling them at the reunion, I couldn't have taken it back. It was recorded. I said it. I would have had to answer for it at some point, which I had no issues, about, but still,
Right.
I know what the intent was in the context. So give me the space and the grace to speak for myself. I don't need you relaying information. So yeah, it was a mess. It was definitely a mess and it was messy, but I don't know. I feel like it's par for the course in reality TV. So I feel
Right.
like almost somebody has to carry the bone. It's like a part of what it is. But
I don't know if you were necessarily carrying the bone. You had the bone. The bone wasn't carried by you, in my opinion. Honestly,
it
the
was
bone was the bone was not carried by you. Um, but let's get into when it comes to the reunion. We saw all
yes.
of those things played out. A great two-part reunion. Overall, how do you feel leaving the reunion? Do you feel like you were able to express yourself and got all the points that you want? Like coming into it, no.
Absolutely not. So I've shared that the reunion is filmed is y'all view it backwards. So what you guys see first was filmed second, and what you see second was filmed first.
Got it.
And so, no, I mean, the catastrophe that was episode 1 of the reunion was at the end. So it was at the height where I felt like I couldn't have got a word in edgewise. It was just so incredibly, like, insanely crazy. I shut down. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just kind of checked out because it was just so crazy at one point. I'm like, what is really going on right now? I'm answering for things that have nothing to do with the season. I'm answering for invisible people. I'm like, I don't know what y'all want me to do. The people or the person you're mad at is not here, has nothing to do with this situation. So it was accusations. It was just insane. I walked away like, what in the entire hell just happened? I'm like, it was a lot to process. It
Do
was.
you do you feel like the other couples in a way made it a goal of them to make you admit that you were wrong for the things that you have said in the show?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was like a blame Winterfest.
Right.
And again, I'm okay with owning the things that I said, but how many times do you want me to apologize for the things that I've already apologized for? Like,
Right.
I believe the audience at large probably got tired of me apologizing. And again, it's like, how long are you going to relive being mad at something I've already apologized for? I can't go back and unsay it. It's said. So,
Right.
but I think too, it was a great lesson to me because I really have basically learned just own what you say and let it be said. I understand why Nene has the phrase, I said what I
What I
said.
say.
Okay. There's something to be said for that because
Yes.
I'm not doing that again. If I apologize once,
Right.
that's what it's gonna be. But sometimes, you know what? I said what I said. And
Right.
I wasn't confident enough, I think, in some instances to just stand, 10 toes and just be like, you know what, I said what I said. And the reason
Do
why I said it is because I didn't like what you said. It is what it is sometimes. But yeah, I do feel like it was like a blame Winterfest. And I think they wanted me to recant things that I had said. And, I didn't know what they wanted me to do, but everyone was very firm with where they stood, including myself. Like, I was willing to apologize for the names and things of that nature, but I couldn't unsay it, and I wasn't gonna unsay it. It just is what it is. But yeah, the reunion was very weird. I wish I had another person with me because that was the only thing. I was the only person that was unmanned, so to speak.
right.
Like, I didn't have support, so I wish I had support. But at the end of the day, I do feel like I held my own being by myself.
Do you feel like there was space created for you in the sense to like be able to tell your story and be able to like explain without being, you know, so much pushback from the because at that point when we see the reunion, all of the couples had a problem with you at the reunion, and all of the
All
couples were trying to kind of in a way, no, you said this and you need to apologize for this and you need to apologize for that. Do you feel like there was an even playing field for you to also say, well, these are my feelings and you hurt my feelings too?
Yeah, no. And I think I voiced this, that I almost felt like Winter was supposed to own everything Winter said, but nobody owned what they said.
Right.
And you can't say, well, I said it because you said it, because if we watch the same show, I responded. I never started anything, but I certainly did respond to a lot.
Right.
So are we going to own that I was responding And are you going to apologize for what I was responding to? Because there were some out of pocket things that were said to me, yet I still felt like, but you need to apologize and own everything. Like, where does that work at? Like, how is that supposed to be fair? You know what I mean? So,
Right.
no, I don't feel like I really got an opportunity, but it makes for a great reunion. I think it was crazy and a ratings grabber because it definitely gave, what
Yeah.
typical reunions give, but I would certainly I would be a lot more vocal. If I had to go back and do it again. I always say I wish there was a part 3. Like it's like so I had to say that I feel like I didn't say. But it is what it is. And
What were some of those things?
oh goodness, I probably would have busted out with another song. Because at one point I had a tambourine behind me.
So you have props.
I had props. I was ready. One song that potentially hit my spirit, but it wasn't the right time because I felt like I would have got fought on stage.
Oh Lord.
But I had a song in my head called "I Got Time Today," and I feel like it would have been excellent with the tambourine, backdrop. But we didn't get that far. It may come out, down the road, but who we don't know anything yet, so it's hard to say, but maybe it'll be social media driven, who knows. But I had a song. I was like, I would have addressed the lack of ownership with my coworkers, for some of the things that were said to me, towards me. There was a lot said on social media, like, let's be honest, there was a lot of nastiness.
Right.
Own that. What was the reason? If we say that we've moved on and we've squashed it, why are we still behaving like we haven't squashed it? Is there something else that I need to be, made aware of? So there was a lot, I think, I would have addressed if I had just not been like, whoa, again, it's my first reunion. I've never done this before. And I'm like, somebody should have prepared me. I feel like there should be a boot camp for rookies. But again, I think it makes for great reality TV, but there are certainly a lot of things I would have loved to address. I don't even feel like I held Monique accountable. I don't. Like, I don't think we ever really had that discussion.
I was just about to ask, when it comes to you and Monique, has there been a discussion post reunion and just in general?
No.
No. Do you want to have a discussion with her?
I think it's important to. I don't think it's good to leave things where they left, because clearly there was an incident on social media where I was responding to, the toxicity from the men at the reunion and how Chris, intervened at one point and she defended him. And I'm like, or she defended Quick, should I say? And I'm like, excuse me, you are not going to invalidate my feelings. Like, that was the one time I actually spoke up on Twitter and was like, that's a negative. Like, it's fine. Let him be your friend and all, but let's call a spade a spade. It was wrong. If anyone spoke to you in that manner, I highly doubt Chris would let that fly. Let it not be excused because I didn't have a man to check that it was okay. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I do think there would definitely need to be a conversation had, because it's just some things like, you don't know these people to be so gung-ho about, oh, I'm just gonna, throw Winter, to the wolves and not, take my hands off and let her figure it out. Like, come on. Like, I just kind of felt like there wasn't some fairness in that situation. And certainly with the whole reunion debacle and the men being quite aggressive in their approach, I didn't think it was right that she defended. I think, honestly, she should have stayed out of it and let us both just have our feelings. But, to just make that comment, I just didn't think that was right. And I didn't think it was appropriate, because you can't invalidate. If I say I felt this way, that's how I felt. Everyone is entitled to how they feel. And so I didn't feel like that was allowed in my case. So that is, some things that we would definitely address and want to discuss. But I think a conversation is definitely needed. I can't say that's happened. It's so funny you asked that. I was like cleaning out my messages today and I happened to like scroll up and I didn't realize how long it had been since I had talked to her last. So we haven't really chatted since I was on her radio show last month, like towards the beginning of last month. So it's been about a month or so since that wasn't really like a back and forth, so to speak. It was more
Would you
so like,
say, sorry, not to interrupt you, would you
yeah,
say that your relationship has kind of transitioned from friends to more like coworker due to the show?
for sure. For sure.
Got it.
Definitely. And it's honestly kind of sad, like you would hate to think that a show would have that type of impact, but it's what it is, So definitely more of a coworker situation than, oh, this is someone I would call and maybe talk to. Because she is someone I actually called and talked to about the situation with my ex-husband. You know what I mean? Like,
Got it.
she actually got more tea than everybody else. Like,
Right.
I'm sending her screenshots of stuff. So it's unfortunate, but what can you do? You just kind of adjust and okay, I understand. Like, I'll govern myself accordingly.
Right. I mean, I think is we can assume that if you haven't had a conversation with Monique, you haven't had a conversation with Ashley or Raina.
None. I honestly think I'm blocked by most of my cast.
No way.
I am so serious. I know for a fact I am blocked by the Tylers. We had an exchange after I reached out to, oh gosh, Arena. And unfortunately, my reaching out to her was taken out of context. I really was reaching out to her, like, sincerely to reach out to her because I was getting crazy messages from people with information that they had, like, and for me, I'm not facetious, so I wouldn't have wanted to share that information at the reunion. I could have if I was that person, but
Hmm.
I personally felt like I didn't have any beef with them and it wasn't worth it to me. So I just reached out to her to say, "Hey, would you like to see what people are sending me? They're mentioning your kids." And she basically never responded. She never responded at all. But then the next thing I hear on DJ Richie's Sky is like, she's talking about my kids, and I'm like, it was not like that at all. I really was just trying to reach out and say, if someone's sending information about me that's got my kid's name in it, like, let me see. I want to know. So I'm
Right.
aware. It wasn't trying to be facetious at all, but unfortunately it was taken out of context. That then spiraled out of control on social media. Trolls that on either one of our sides are going back and forth and tossing insults, and apparently some troll had found his house and put his house on, like, it was insane. It basically resulted in me being blocked and them, there was threats made against me. Like, it was out of control.
Threats
So
from the Tylers.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it was crazy. So I'm like, why am I getting threatened? I'm sitting here telling y'all, like, I have nothing to do with this stuff. I really was just trying to show you guys what all these people were sending to me, but I can't control perception and context. It's unfortunate. So anyway, that's blocked. So no, I haven't talked to them. And then the Silvas, after the reunion, and maybe even before the reunion, I know for a fact, I think we all unfollowed each other
Right.
because we just were not in a good place at all after the premiere, which was weird to me because I thought going into the premiere, everything was squashed. I don't talk to my cast like, you know what I mean? Like, I
No.
don't talk to everyone like that. So I assume when we wrapped at the finale, we good. Like, then we had one little tiff after an episode. I think episode 1, there was one little tiff on Twitter, and it just deteriorated from that point forward. So no, I have not talked to anyone. People have asked me, like, why are you not at the cookouts? Why are you not out? I'm like, I don't talk to them. They don't talk to me. It is, yeah, I haven't had a conversation with anyone, not since the reunion. So I don't know.
Would you want to, are you open to coming back for season 2 of Love and Marriage DC?
I'm open. I've always maintained that I was open. I think there's a lot of loose ends. It would be interesting to see if they could be tied up. And it may be
Mm,
that, it's not tied up. I don't know. But I think it's worth it because unfortunately with the reunion, our reunion didn't solve anything, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, there was a lot said, but nothing was solved. And
right.
so, yeah, I would be open to it. I always try to keep an open mind. I don't like to close any doors. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm open to it.
And when it comes to a season two, where are you now in your life, and what would we see? Let's say you were to come back for a season two. What are some things that you want to show us that you weren't able to show us during the first season?
My life, like, it's so much of my life was centered around the mess, right? And that's finally like done. Like, I'm completely wrapped up with that situation.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was a lot. So to see what life is like after that, post divorce, what I actually do for a living, I would be probably recording a music video for this song. Um, Definitely back out on the dating scene.
Good.
And
At least kissing this time, right?
yes. Definitely
No
gotta check
shade.
out.
No
Listen,
shade.
it was I
I don't
literally
know how
tell
you did it.
people,
I don't know how you did it. I don't know how
don't
you did
ever agree to some
it.
BS like that again. Like, I that was my first and last time ever. So yeah, I think it the audience would probably love to see that from me, because what I love is that despite the turmoil that I had with my cast and the lack of support, because I was going through a divorce, the audience really became my support and my plus one. And I got a tremendous amount of backing from, the audience at large. So for me, it's been very nice to hear the positivity, the positive feedback, the positive responses, and encouragement. And a lot of them said, hey, we would love to see you, move on and be happy. So,
Right.
I'm not really a closed person. I have been in social media for almost a decade, and I pride myself on being transparent and open, because really, I think that's probably why I kind of transitioned well, in reality TV, because I'm honestly not a person that hides. I don't think anyone who hides would get on national TV and expose themselves like I did and be so transparent about my past and the things I've had to walk through. To be perfectly honest, people have asked me, like, how's your mental health? And I'm like, for what? Am I supposed to be something wrong? Like, I share my life for a living. It doesn't bother
Right.
me. I've never flinched. I've never felt any kind of way. Um, and so for me, I would love to invite the audience in so they can see more of me being a mom. I think, you got to see my two older kids. People don't even know I have two younger kids that I literally parent still,
Mhm.
day to day. So I would love for them to get a piece of that, a little tidbit that the audience never got to see. My oldest daughter actually is in school, but she lives at home with me full time. But
Okay.
she has a boyfriend, and coincidentally, her boyfriend's name is Kevin.
Oh Lord. Let's just exit the Kevins. No, no Kevins allowed in the house. No, I'm just joking. When you found out that the boy's name was Kevin, what was your reaction? I want to know.
It was interesting because he's El Salvadorian. And I'm like,
Wow.
what is the likelihood of an El Salvadorian being named Kevin? Like, the craziest situation. But he's a solid guy, and they
Good.
actually have been together over a year now. Like, he
Good.
outlasted my situation. So it's
So when we talk about Kevin, now we're talking about him. We're no
we're
longer talking
talking
about that.
about, the good Kevin.
We're
Yes.
never talking about that mess ever again. I didn't even want to ask you about it because I feel like
It's
that
old
that
news. It's
yeah,
old.
it's
Like, I love that as I was closing that chapter, it's like the audience closed out the chapter with me. Like, they honestly could care less. Like, in all of the interviews I've done, like, nobody has really wanted to dig. It's like, okay, we had enough of that. We saw what we see.
I
And
also think that we kind of saw how disingenuous he came across on camera. So it kind of once we saw him on camera, it kind of to me as a viewer Oh, I kind of make sense now of all the things that we have heard Winter say about this man
Mm,
prior to him showing up on camera, because even when he was talking to the men, it seemed like a lot of loose ends and not really like concrete explanations to the things that you were claiming and him defending himself. So I think that, he showed his own behind, you
yeah.
know?
And I think that was the best way, but I love that. I don't know. I just love how really the audience came around the situation and it's like, oh no, girl, we got you loud and clear. Now let's move on to the next. We ready. Show, like,
Right.
so I'm really excited. I think if I do come back for a season 2, I think it'll be nice to really give the audience another layer to who I am and really kind of invite them in and really make sense of some of the things that people have heard. Like, oh, she was a former relationship coach. Like, why would people have even paid attention? I think it would be interesting for people to actually see me in action to put two and two together and like, oh, this girl actually got some sense. Like, she not as crazy as
Right.
maybe she came across. Giving this person a chance that we clearly all see she shouldn't have given a chance to. So I think for me, it would just be nice to kind of open up just a little bit more and show people just a little bit more, depth and insight as to Winter, the person, but also Winter, the business person. I'm in doctoral school. That's the other thing that people don't realize. I'm very proud of it. And I know my cast probably gets tired of me
Yeah.
saying it, but hey,
You
listen,
should be.
I am very proud, educated Black woman, and I'm trying to finish up my doctoral degree. So, managing those components and really having a real life and people actually seeing like, oh no, she's actually really about her business in addition to being open to finding love again. I think that the audience would appreciate getting a glimpse into that and definitely getting to learn my family a little bit more. My mom is a hoot. We didn't get to see all of her scene. I don't think they included her scene at the cast trip. We called her on the phone, but
Oh, you did.
she is hilarious. They trimmed her scene down a lot, but the producers will tell you she is a firecracker and absolutely the funniest
So you
ever.
still have a lot to show.
I have a lot to show. Absolutely. I laugh and I joke, but I've said this for years and it's completely ironic. But I always told my friends, I'm like, y'all, my life is a reality show. I'm telling you it is. Like the things that I go through, I cannot make this stuff up. Like hands down, cannot make this stuff up. And so fast forward, we all laughed when I, ended up on the show. They were like, you always said
Right.
your life was a reality show.
Right.
I'm like, I'm telling you it is. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to show, but I'm excited to show it if given the opportunity because I do think, my family as a whole has a lot to offer, but I know Winter has a lot to offer
Right.
and a lot more to offer than what was shown on season 1. So and then I think people would love to see if our circle can be a circle again instead of a disjointed invisible nothing.
Square. Do you feel like other people from your season 1 cast shouldn't come back due to whatever feelings?
um
Or do you feel like everybody honestly, gave it their all when it came to being in front of the cameras and
you
doing what they
know
had?
I have no thoughts either way. I feel like production does a good job and the entertainment company does a good job of kind of like seeing who fits where. I think everyone honestly probably would get a circle back in my opinion. The only thing I wouldn't be sure of is the Lions only because they started out and didn't necessarily finish, so they may get a phase out. I don't know. But
Mm,
I'm really indifferent either way. I know for me, um, yeah, I don't feel like anyone would not come back. If I had a
right.
guess, I would wholeheartedly assume that everyone is coming back. The only people I would be on the fence about is the Lions, if I'm being honest. And I could certainly see them maybe rotating in a new friend of the
Mm.
show. You know what I mean? Like I definitely could see that. So it should be interesting. We'll see.
Listen, if they saw season 1 that when you hosted that event that they needed you and they asked you to film more scenes, trust me when I say this that if you don't get invited to season 2, you will receive a call at least a month into filming. Hey, we need you to film scenes. Because if you were not meant to be part of this cast for the first season and ended up being the main conversation throughout the entire season, that only goes to show that your story is needed in this ensemble cast. You know what I'm saying? So I
Thank you.
think that I don't think you have to worry when it comes to returning. Is there any regrets or things that you would have done differently from your first season?
Oh, Wellington, Lord.
uh
I
specifics. Specific.
definitely would have shut the hell up talking to Monique about any rumors. I would have never mentioned it because it turned into just, it was the catalyst
Right.
for every single, foolishness that we see going forward. So I certainly just wouldn't have said it because in reality TV, now I know that if you say anything about some rumors, people want to see receipts. And if you are not the type of person that wants to show receipts or bring, and I ain't that type of, just don't say you did. Like you cannot even flinch. Um, yeah, that's probably my biggest. And I wouldn't have been so loose lipped. Like Monique had all my trust. I'm gonna be honest. Like I wouldn't have been so loose lipped. If I had known certain things would have been carried back, I just would have been like, yeah, we're cool. We met, it is what it is. I probably still would have done the nickname. So I can't say that I wouldn't have. I tend to be a very off the cuff person. I'm a one line machine. It's just in me. It's who I am. So I
Right, right.
can't say if it wouldn't have been those nicknames, it probably would have been something else. I'm gonna just keep it a $150 with you. Like I'm telling you
Right.
now, something would have come out of my mouth. We don't get gutter Barbies from nowhere. I can't even tell you where that came from. I'm just talking. I mean, I'm
Right.
telling you, it's funny. Our executive producer was on one of my lives, and I was like, "How hard of a time did you guys have editing my confessionals?" And he was like, "We had a time. Like, I am a natural gabber, and I'm also a witty person. So I am consistently, things are rolling off my
Things are
head.
rolling. Yep.
So I can't say that no names wouldn't have come out of my mouth at some point. Probably would have, but it is what it is. The wholeheartedly, it would have been the rumor, and just being so loose lipped with Monique, I just wouldn't have. You live and you learn, but I would have done that, and definitely I wouldn't have mentioned the rumors. I think that's about the extent of it. Everything else, the chips fell where they fell where they made, and it is what it is. I'm a grown woman. I own, good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is. So
Right.
those are the two things I would have definitely done differently, for sure.
Well, talk to our audience about the things that you have coming up, the things that are going on in your life, and some exciting things about you.
Yes. So we are still promoting the song. So Sign My Papers is an official single,
And it's a bop.
available. It is a whole bop.
Mm,
Very proud of it. It is available everywhere music is sold. So Spotify, all that good stuff. It's everywhere. And
right.
so very excited to continue pushing that. I really hope to be securing some openers with the song. So that would be pretty cool. And I actually run a mentorship community. So that's in full force. I have 2 retreats coming up, one domestic, one international. We're going to Negril, Jamaica next year. And
Wow.
so that is in full swing of, getting registrants for that. We're teaching women to spoil themselves and
Yeah.
enjoy luxury on a new level. So that's really exciting. Working on my latest book. I had a title and then opted to switch it so I could be more fluid in my writing. So I have a new book coming out soon. It will be my 9th book for those who don't know. So 9th book on the horizon. And
Wow.
I definitely will be doing pop-ups. I'm scheduled to be the red carpet correspondent at the Women in Professional Sports event in New York. So that's coming up. So it's a
That's
lot
amazing.
going on. I'm a busy woman. I still travel to speak quite a bit. So I manage that schedule in addition to, the things I run with the coaching. And I had to be clear, like, I'm not a relationship coach anymore and haven't been in a few years, but I do a lot of spiritual life and professional coaching due to my background and having an MBA and things of that nature. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. So yeah, that's really Winter's life in a nutshell. Lots of good things on the horizon. I've been doing a ton of interviews. So
Yeah.
yeah, life is busy, but life is good. In addition to that, just being a mom, 2 kids in college, 2, middle school, high school, and my son plays football as well. So we are busy outside
Busy.
of just managing everything else I got going on. And I opened my luxury online resale boutique.
I
I
saw
love
that. I saw that.
luxury. Ah,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you so much. And I got to give a shout out to my people because they have been supporting. We have been shipping steadily every single week. So I'm really grateful for that. And just, I'm excited. There's a lot being worked on, a lot more announcements to be made. And I have to pace myself because I get so excited, but I like to kind of wait till some things are in progress and locked down before I make certain announcements. But my brand is growing and I'm excited about that and definitely working to create this empire that I've had my sights on for about 7 years now. So things are in progress and it's a good place to be, doing a little dating. So that's,
Good.
you know,
Good. Get
it's
yourself out there.
yes, definitely. So we'll
Really,
see.
really.
Life is
Re-
good.
Really, really exciting. Well, Winter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
It
you so
was an amazing time talking to you and getting a little bit of insight on your perspective from the Love and Marriage DC season 1. And we hope to really see you come back for season 2. And I think that it would be a disservice to the show and also to the audience to not bring you back, because it's all about a full circle moment. Just
much.
like you said, things were left unsettled and things need to be settled. So, thank you so much for talking to us,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you guys follow us on Instagram at The Reality Rundown and subscribe to our podcast. And on our page, you're going to see this interview go everywhere. So, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week.